Well, I paid over $3,000 for a rusty, junky 1979 Corvette. And in this video, I'm going to show you why. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So as the title says, I paid $3,000 for this car. And you guys might think I'm crazy. And well, actually, I kind of am. I'm just crazy enough to own like 30 plus of them. But what a lot of people won't see when they see something like this is parts value. So in this video, we're going to talk about parts value, but we're also going to show you what a East Coast car will look like versus, let's say, a Texas car. So here it is. This is it's actually a pretty cool car. It's a 1979 L82 4-speed car, blue on blue. So originally, when this car was new, it was actually pretty nice. It doesn't look like it under the hood, but here it is. Inside the car, you will see, well, there's really not much left. Somebody has started restoration on it, and this is what they got. So again, 99% of people looking for Corvettes wouldn't spend $2,000 on the car and then another $1,200 to get it shipped. But if you know anything about these C3s, the 4-speed is super hard to find. So people may be saying, well, restore it, fix it, put it back on the road. No, not this one, guys. Sadly, not this one. So here's a little preview of what we have to look at. Here's the frame. You have such things as the radiator core support. Rotten. So anyway, sadly this one is bound for the parts yard. The other nail in the coffin is there is no paperwork for this car, and it being from Massachusetts, well, it's a little more difficult to get in Texas. So now, one of the reasons why I bought the car is because, according to the seller, it ran and drove. And you know what? It does, and it runs and drives really well. Good enough that I've already sold the engine out of this car. So somebody came, they heard it run, and they paid me for it, and today we got to take it out. So that's kind of what the video is going to be about, getting it up on the lift, taking the engine out, and looking at the condition of the frame, that kind of thing, and then sending it on its way back here to pull more parts out of it. Also, if you're interested in the 4-speed stuff, I haven't yet sold that stuff yet. I rarely get it. If you look at all of these Corvettes, how many of these Corvettes were 4-speed cars? The answer is none of them. Every single one of these cars was an automatic. Every one. Not a single 4-speed in the entire bunch. Alright, let's get ourselves a battery. Go fire up that pig. Alright, the other fun thing about this car is that there are no brakes at all. So Put some starting fluid in it. Have to put gas in it, which is not something I want to do. Woo! Alright, so one thing to remember about this car, there are no brakes at all. Zero. So I have no way to stop this other than a hill. So I'm going to take a wide berth. Got to get it in the third bay on the lift. Luckily it's a manual. Can't stop it. Okay, there it is. We made it. It's really hot in here. Right. Well, hey, the greeting committee is here. Hello, nice to meet you. You guys didn't help at all. You didn't push. You didn't do any of it. You just watched. What the heck? Come on, bub. Fair. You didn't do anything either. You didn't do anything. All right, we got the beater in the shop in order to extract the engine. So yeah, it runs and drives, just zero brakes at all. And obviously there's fuel system issues, etc., etc. But let's go ahead and get this up on the lift and see what the underside of this pig actually looks like. All right, first chance to see underneath. First thing that sticks out to me is this valence is new. That's good, because they're almost always broken, and that's worth at least 50 bucks. Good front grills, good bumper cover. Now, this is the main reason why this is a parts car. You see this? This is literally just flaking off. Front brackets are toast. This front crash bar is toast. This radiator support is very toasty. I mean, it's barely holding in the radiator. I remember once I had one that was so rusty that the radiator fell at the bottom. Now, the suspension itself looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Usually there's a lot of deep pitting on all of these control arms. There's a little bit right here, but it should come off fairly easily. So that's always a positive. I don't like the look of that. So you see how that's kind of pushed in like that? Same with this other side. That usually is indication of a wreck. You see how it's kind of wavy up here in this frame horn and right here? You know, these cars are old, they've been around. It's not surprised that one or two of them have been hit in the front before. There is this growing, impregnated rust right here along this front cross member. That's not too bad. I've seen way worse. Coming along this frame rail, it doesn't look too bad. You can tell it's an original manual transmission car because this cross member is welded in. But this is where we get to the bad stuff. So that is one of the main reasons why this car is going to be parted out, is because of this. Now you guys up north are probably like, oh, that's so fixable, that's easy. Well, there's plenty of Corvettes around here that are not this bad. You see, it's just this entire end cap. I mean, this frame rail almost isn't attached to the second half almost at all. If you look along here, you'll see that the front is starting to get thin as well. Right here, there's holes. right there. Let's go to this other side. Typical, I'm assuming, typical East Coast car. Just really scaly and rotten. It's also been pulled out right here. Somebody tried to haul it off and pulled it. The one disappointing thing, which I guess I'm not surprised about, is just the condition, overall condition of the rear suspension. Like these trailing arms, they'll be kind of hard, really difficult to sell. They probably won't be rebuildable just because water and salt gets all up in here and makes them fat. And then, you know, there's no point. See here in the back, they're kind of separating and coming apart. But anyway, that was definitely to be expected. I was expecting that to be like that, so not really a big issue. Let's see, next. You know, the back of the frame doesn't look too bad, but again, there's no paperwork on this car, and to get it in Texas can be a definite headache. That's so crazy. I thought this frame would be actually a lot worse than it is, but still. The car needs just about everything, but the thing I'm mostly worried about is like these little pinholes. I mean, these frames rust from the inside out, and I can do this. I can scrape all kinds of rust flakes out from the inside. You just know the frame's compromised in there. Just like that. But the big money thing, the thing we all are going to focus on, is this transmission. Wow, that bell housing is destroyed. Well, that's interesting. There's that. Look at that. There's an old chunk missing out of the bell housing. Hopefully I have another one of those. Luckily those aren't too expensive to get, but that's just, I wasn't expecting that. But I believe this is I think this is a Borg Warner. It's definitely not a Muncie. Let's see. Yeah. But you know, all the linkages are there, even the reverse light switch is there, all that kind of stuff is there, the Z-bar, all that stuff is worth money. So now we're gonna work on getting it out. That's gonna be kind of the next step. Oh wow, it's missing a bolt right here on the leaf spring. Curious what the differential gear ratio is, since this is a manual transmission car. These cars used to be the cheap ones, the manual transmission, the manual windows, the no option cars. And now they're the ones that people want. Everybody wants them. So, all right, well, we'll get this out, get this off, and we will go from there. Weirdly enough, it's got to be somewhat more recent because A, it came apart, and B, it's not rusty. So luckily, that will be a good exhaust to use on a different Corvette that maybe needs an exhaust. So got lucky on that, I guess. But it's definitely not a factory system. But it's a nice system. It'll fit anything with a small block and a 4-speed. Drain the oil, normal oil, ancient filter, that kind of thing. Just letting it drain. I like to remove all the fluids before I pull the engine transmission, just because there's less chance of that spilling out everywhere and going everywhere. So we'll take care of that. Engine's done, and next we're gonna do the transmission. I had to get my big crescent wrench out for this. Let's see what the transmission oil looks like. I can hear it coming in the top. It looks like gear oil. Doesn't look shiny or silvery or anything like that. The plug has a little bit of goo on the end, but it's not really hard, it's soft, so just old and gross. Here is something unusual that you almost never see, is all the springs are still on the linkage for the clutch. Basically, you have the rod right here from the clutch pedal. It goes to this big rod right here, which is the Z-bar, and that then goes over here to the clutch fork. But these springs that help everything return, there's 3 of them, are almost always missing. For some reason, this car has all of them, which is very unusual, but there they are. So the transmission's all unhooked. The shifter, the speedo cable, the yoke in the back, everything is all undone. And next under here, I have to do the starter, a couple ground wires, fuel pump, and motor mounts, and then from there we can go up top. I did drain the oil on both, so that is good to go. Alright, here on the top, it's a little bit easier. The AC stuff has all been removed, which is totally normal, but we still need to unhook basically the cooling system and any kind of vacuum tube that's going to be attached to the engine. So basically we have all this vacuum stuff for the power brakes, for the headlights, all that kind of stuff, and then I'm going to take off the accessories just because, take the fan off, it makes it a little bit easier, and then unhook the radiator from the front of the engine, and then after that we will do fuel pump and motor mounts, and then we should be good to go. Oh yeah, one more thing, power steering pump gotta go. Now, something amazing to me and very hard to believe is that this car came with a radiator completely full of coolant. Usually cars like this, everything's bone dry and empty, but this one actually had coolant in it. I'll try to do this without smashing myself in the face. It's gonna be very difficult. This drain plug is just so nasty and corroded that it doesn't want to turn or do anything. I can't get a socket or anything on it, so we're just gonna have to do it old school. Try not to take a bath here, but I probably will. It's gross when it goes down your armpit. There we go. Oh, I got the hose loose. Hey, we got most of it. Point is, we catch most of it. You're always going to make a mess, but luckily this coolant looks really good. I will save it for unknown engines. So, for example, that 58 Bel Air I did recently, I would never put $45 worth of new coolant in that if I don't know if the engine's any good. This is perfect for it. It'll work, and it can be drained again and recycled after that. Once I know an engine is good and deserves new coolant, then that's what we can do. All right, so everything up top is pretty much unhooked. I will set the distributor cap over here just to get some more room. I will also take the radiator out all the way. It's still draining a little bit, but this is not the correct radiator for this car, I don't think. Yeah, it might be. But anyway, it's in not that great of shape. But in hanging out with this car for more than the 20 minutes that I looked at it in the past, I've noticed a few things. So this car has had a front clip put on it, and I will show you just a couple telltale signs that you can look for in order to figure out if your car has had a front clip put on it. Now, there's the obvious. There's the fact that all the paint is peeling really hard on the entirety of just the front clip. So in reality, the rest of the car isn't doing this. So that means that the front of this car probably has a different type of paint on it or was painted incorrectly compared to the back. Another big main thing that you guys need to look at is up here by the wiper arms. So you can see you have your surround panel basically that does this. This piece right here is always solid one piece. It's a dead giveaway when you see stuff like this. So this tells me that this was cut here and probably over there, but they did a better job of hiding it over there in order to put a new front clip on. A lot of times these get broken and wrecks, and it's easier just to do it this way. This isn't necessarily wrong, but it is a way to see, hey, yes, this car has had a front clip on it. Another thing you can look at is these sills along where the hood meets the fender. So you can see it looks about the same till about here, and then it starts getting weird, like it's full of Bondo and full of stuff. The main part being right here. I wish I could if you look at it from this direction, let me get on the other side of the car, I can show you, but you look up under here, you can see all this extra glue that isn't necessarily factory. Factory didn't use this stuff. If you look on this far side, you can see the same kind of thing. It looks like they might have spliced it here, but you see how rough this is, and you can see all these sanding marks. So it's supposed to be smooth like this. It won't ever look like this, and you can see just kind of where they kind of fiberglassed it or bonded it back together all the way down. This spot is obviously been repaired. That doesn't necessarily mean a wreck, because this spot could be just where this hood strut has broken through. It's a pretty weak point right here, but again, it is what it is. So there's a couple more things you can look at. One thing I was amazed was, let's check this out. I'm not used to how cars rust on the East Coast, but look at the pits in that. Why is that like that? Anyway, the headlight bar is also either rusted out or fallen down. I haven't actually looked at the condition of the headlight buckets themselves, but it's you know, whatever for now. Right now, all right, everything is unhooked. I think we're gonna do a double check. Unhook the fuel pump, unhook the ground, exhaust, starter wiring harness is all unhooked. We're gonna leave the transmission together, but again, we took the speedo cable off, we took the output shaft off, all the shifter levers are off and below, so those won't get hung up, hopefully. Obviously the transmission mount we have removed, same with the clutch Z-bar and all that stuff. Reverse switch, oil pressure switch, exhaust, motor mounts. Really, we should be ready to go. So we'll get this lowered down on the ground, and then I'll show you guys the best way to take a engine out of a Corvette. This is the best way I've ever figured out of how to get an engine out of a Corvette. So the problem you're gonna have if you're coming through the front is you have like 5 feet of nose to compete with, and the arm from the hoist to the end is not that long. So coming from the side, take the wheel off. Most of you probably don't have a lift, so what you would do is you would put a jack stand right about where the lift arm is. All of the 3 wheels will be on the ground. I've actually never done it this way on the lift, so we'll see if we get enough height to get it out with the transmission. If it was just an engine, obviously that would be, you know, a fairly easy thing. So we'll see if that extra foot off the ground is gonna mess me up. But let's get this sucker out. the bloody aftermath. We have the engine on a tire, and then I'm going to put the transmission, all that kind of stuff on a pallet in order to sell it. While this car is still in the shop, I'll probably pull a few more things, the shifter, the calipers, just a bunch of little odds and ends that I can do easier now than I can when it's sitting out in the backyard. But yeah, if you guys need parts from this car, send me an email. Well, I know it wasn't a restoration series, and it is kind of sad to see them get taken apart, but don't worry, all the parts will live on in other people's cars, and we'll keep other ones on the road. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.